fellow tone seekers, welcome back to my channel. Today we take a look at a particular studio tone by the one and only Mr. Jimi Hendrix. It's a tone that really fascinated me from the moment on I heard it for the first time, being a very young teenager. And I immediately knew there was something completely different going on with the sound there. In the pursuit of the Voodoo Chile tone, we actually find a labyrinth of opinions surrounding the gear and the amps Jimi used. So I decided for this video that concentrating on the room and sound effects would be the best benefit I could give you regardless of which amp you use. For years, I've tried to capture that very sound, but found myself scratching my head every time I tried it. There was always missing something in my formula to get the perfect result. Today, we'll be going to unravel some secrets behind one of Jimi's most mesmerizing and overlooked tracks, Voodoo Chile. It's the otherworldly great 15 minutes long blues jam on his album Electric Ladyland. Those of you who follow my channel regularly know that I'm a very busy live musician, especially fascinated with Jimi Hendrix's live tone. I do not possess special studio equipment, and for today's video I cannot exactly recreate the sound that the studios had in the 60s. But I'm very positive that I can give you an excellent approximation by using straightforward, off-the-shelf, regular tools and showing you how to set them up to enjoy the beautiful Jimi Hendrix Voodoo Chile tone they will give us. Let's take a moment to appreciate the sonic landscape we are aiming to recreate. Eddie Kramer was Jimi's main studio guy and sound engineer. And in an interview, he mentioned the importance of the room resonation on Voodoo Chile. This track was recorded in 1968 at the Record Plant studio. Eddie Kramer said he captured the entire room by placing several microphones strategically in the room. This tells us how this awesome reverb on this record on Voodoo Chile was created. And in contrast to many other recordings, it wasn't the iconic EMT plate reverb. Let us set the reverb first. Before we go on, I'll guide you through the settings. I tell you what I'll be using, and from there on we will see which information we can add to come closer to the sound. Okay, so here is my clean signal. I'm using a regular Fender Bassman 59 Limited, a reissue, and I'm going into my Marshall cab, which is loaded with Jimi's favorite speaker, the G1230 with 55 Hz. And my guitar is completely tuned down to D, just like on the recording. And I think only with that tuning you get that sponginess in the tone that we are looking for. There it is. So here's the clean signal. At the record plant, room reverb played a big role. And this is the reason why we won't be using plate or spring reverb. So we opt for a room or hall reverb instead. This choice helps us to emulate the microphones placed within the room by Eddie Kramer. Let's activate the reverb now and have a listen to the sound. Let's clarify some of the terms and parameters so that you can emulate them easily at home. Decay determines the length of the reverb. And as we know, the record plant was a huge studio. We had a big room where the guys were playing, and this means it correlates to a longer reverb time. And this is why I have set it at 50%. The mix controls the proportion the reverb has in the overall sound. Here we are aiming for 60%. It might seem high, but this setting replicates the expansive reverb we hear on the recording. So for the tone setting, I suggest that you adjust it along to your amp's sound. So usually to recreate the sound or to recreate the tone, you would opt for a warmer amp sound. And if you set the tone a little higher, the warmer amp sounds gets a little refresh, which really contributes to the overall sound. So this setting really blends seamlessly in the mix, and it's compatible with common off-the-shelf reverb pedals, and you can find them in many variations, and you can find them on many pedal boards. Today, you know the usual suspects. Just make sure that you have a hall or a room option in your reverb pedal. Remember, it's not just about your amp's tone. Focus on the reverb itself and how it contributes to the overall sound. So here's my reverb reference for you so that you can get a clue of how big the room is that I have created with my regular reverb pedal. I don't know if you guys hear that. Reverb is cool, but we're still not there. And that was my problem for many years in trying to recreate that Voodoo Chile tone. And then, by coincidence, I saw a short video about the recording process of Little Wing.
And coming out, and it's being delayed specifically by the head gap. There's an erase head, a record head, and a playback head. And it's the distance between the two heads, which is roughly 100 milliseconds.
I think the golden nugget of information in that video is A, that we hear reverb and delay working in conjunction. So it wasn't either reverb or delay, it was both in conjunction. And B, we get to know the magic number of 100 milliseconds for the actual delay time. I know that Eddie Kramer is talking about a different album, but that little trick really opened my eyes and brought me very, very close to the tone I was looking for. I know that many people think of an Echoplex unit when thinking about Jimi Hendrix's delay tone. And in fact, I found a copy of a receipt by Manny's Music in New York where Jimi actually bought one of these units. Jimi probably used the Echoplex on songs such as Red House and All Along the Watchtower, which I might cover in another video. Okay, let us try the delay setting that Eddie Kramer just talked about. Here's my setting, and I've set up the delay in Logic Pro. So what I use for the delay is a classical tape delay, and sometimes it's also called echo delay. So this is what the reverb sounds when we are adding the delay. Adding the delay to the reverb really makes a big difference. It seems to be the secret sauce. The tone, the overall feel changes completely, the playing feel and the tone that I hear in the room. It's really extremely close to the recording, and the sponginess that I have spoken about when we set the reverb is even increasing. It's bringing me closer to the tone, to the sound and the effects that we hear on the original recording. I'm going to explain my delay setting right now, and of course you can emulate this setting with every regular off-the-shelf delay pedal as long as it features a tape or echo function. So the delay time controls the length of the delay, which we have pretty clearly learned is 100 milliseconds. Feedback controls how many times the delayed signal gets repeated. I've set it to 25%, as on the recording we do not hear repetitions in the common sense, but we hear more of a subtle slapback. In the mix we set the delay to 30%. In that way the delay is not louder or more perceivable than the reverb, but it's perfectly adding to the reverb and the overall feel. And I just told you something was missing as long as I've been trying to recreate that sound. And the delay really seems to be the missing piece. And remember, the settings that I've just shared aren't exclusively for that Voodoo Chile sound. You can also use them for, let's say, Little Wing or other songs. Adjust the reverb, make the room a tiny bit smaller, because on the Voodoo Chile recording we had a big room. But the delay setting seems to be something that Eddie Kramer always used for Jimi's guitars, and you are absolutely on the safe side with the 100 milliseconds and the feedback and mix settings that I've just shown you. Summing it up, we have uncovered the secrets behind Jimi's Voodoo Chile studio tone. Reverb, a touch of delay, and a sprinkle of room magic. That's the recipe. I challenge you to try these settings at home and to tweak them to your likings. Share your experiences in the comments, because the comments is what keeps us Hendrix enthusiasts together. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and leave a thanks. And ring that notification bell. Until next time, we'll definitely meet again. Keep chasing that perfect tone. See you. Bye.